And then there's also a very convenient excuse, which is that increasingly we're saying aesthetic questions are not scientific questions. So increasingly we're saying that music, at the crux of all of it, theoretically, seems to be coming down to some aesthetic problems. We don't do aesthetics. We're scientists. We leave that to the art people. So it's not our problem anymore. And so this sort of sweeps the whole music problem away. And now that we've already got equal temperament, what do we need science for anymore?
My name is Miles Jackson. I am a history of science professor. The interesting thing is that when we get to the 19th century, we tend to move away from the physics of the spheres, right, in perfect harmonies. And we enter the world of the Industrial Revolution, of mass production. Certainly physicists are still interested in music, but they're interested in musical instrument manufacture. Although equal temperament, the theory, the mathematics behind equal temperament, had been well known since the 16th century, what a lot of people don't realize is that actual tuning in equal temperament does not happen until the 1830s.
What really cemented equal temperament was not the desire or need of composers and musicians for this particular tuning, but it was the piano manufacturers. What happened is in the early to mid 19th century, John Broadwood and Sons was a piano company based in London that was shipping pianos all over the world. And in different parts of the world, they would be tuned very differently. And they wanted their pianos to sound the same wherever they were. So they started sending out their pianos with a manual explaining how to tune it in what is now the standard tuning, equal temperament. And this, more than anything, codified the equal-tempered system as the system that was used on pianos and keyboard instruments. And since the piano is the center of our educational system and our music and music theory, equal temperament ultimately dominated the world of music and music theory, to the point now that most musicians don't even know that anything else exists.
Music perception, of course, is a huge topic. There are very definitely certain things that one person will hear one way, another person hear another.
That is the big question. That's the whole question. What's happening? What is happening? How are we interpreting these elements that are in the outside world? Music is, for me, by definition, what happens inside human beings. It's a subjective experience. What are the commonalities of the way we interpret music we hear? Why does some music evoke sadness?
The human mind interprets music based upon a set of cultural expectations, cultural norms. I work in what's called a Western music tradition. So I'm working with music that was developed in Europe, in the Western world, from the medieval period all the way through the 20th century. And so when I listen to a piece of music, I have that set of cultural norms inside of me. So when I hear something, it's always being referenced to those norms. Now, what if I was a man or a woman who grew up in a village away from Western music and instead experienced music in a ritualistic kind of fashion or in a tribal context where music was performed for a number of different reasons than they are in Western music? Different scales, different rhythms and meters. If you took that person who had never experienced Western music before and set them at a symphony concert to listen to Prokofiev, they're not going to have the same experience as I would.
I'm James Delaney. I'm an associate professor of philosophy. One thing that's interesting to think about with human nature with respect to music is that why are we attracted to music? Why do we like music? What is it that moves us? Are we moved by something very technical, something mathematical, or are we moved at some other emotional level that is separate from any kind of technical or mathematical structure?
I'm Mark Sabat. I'm a Canadian composer. Sounds, to begin with, gave us information about things around us. And that can be connected to, for example, to fear response. What's moving where does it come from? But then it also, for humans, is connected very much to communication, to singing to each other and to speaking to each other, to comforting each other, to teaching each other. And so I think all of those connections tie the enjoyment of sound to feelings and to the experience of life. What that is such an interesting web of all of these things. That's, I think, what makes composition such a magical art, that it is as much mathematics, thinking, reflection, communication, poetry, all of these things without a language.
There were a lot of theories proposed about what makes some sounds beautiful and some sounds not beautiful. And one of the theories is that when you have these simple proportions that Pythagoras gave us, the waves of the pitches that are vibrating, they don't knock up against each other the way they do when you may have two pitches where, one is going like this and one is going like this, and they're, the waves are knocking into each other, and that creates the dissonant sound. That doesn't explain why in an equal temperament, where the numbers are very strange, if you want to measure the actual proportions, since they're not at all like Pythagoras', they've all been compromised. It doesn't explain why they sound okay. They sound sort of okay, even though you get all of this knocking of the waves against each other. And one explanation for that, and it makes sense to me, is that the mind hears a tempered fifth and understands that it's meant to be a real fifth. It's meant to be a perfect fifth. And our minds just simply interpret the sound correctly. And then we don't get bothered by it. So this idea that we have this filter in our brains that sort of interprets what's going on, I think it has validity.